Welcome to The Gateway, your compass through the magical waters of spirit communication, broadcast live from United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM New Orleans. I'm your host, C.L. Thomas. Happy summer solstice, or so it was this past weekend. Summer solstice is celebrated in many cultures across the world, as well as here in the U.S., particularly if you are into witchcraft and things like that. The season is also known as St. John's Eve, especially down in the southern parts of the United States. Joining me this evening is a practicing dark witch, or hedge witch, Jade Pheonix. And let me pull her up here. And I just have to warn everyone listening out there, Jade is in the middle of a lot of storms and her internet is kind of patchy, so she may fade in and out. So just bear with us. If that happens, we'll get her back on. Jade, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I guess to start us off, how did you get into witchcraft?
Well, I think my whole life I've always known it. I've had different experiences throughout different lives, but back in my day, there wasn't a whole lot of information that you can get a hold of back then. So, I grew up in the satanic panic. And somebody gave me a book by Aleister Crowley. I wasn't a Satanist, I knew that, but some of the things that made more sense to me. And I was about 12, 13. And I just kind of crafted my own from there with my own. Having my own rules and bylaws.
It seems like people like Aleister Crowley, I feel like, are very much misunderstood. When you have somebody like Aleister Crowley, he kind of was a womanizer, of course, but that was the era he lived in. But I think he gets such a bad rap because he lived on the fringes and did everything opposite of what everybody else was doing. It wasn't so much that he was a Satanist. Right. Like his books were more about do as thou wilt. Right?
Right. And then I got hold of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible. That was another thing that we had back then. But like I said, I wasn't a Satanist. I knew that, but some of the things that are in there made sense to me. And I've always been doing weird. I was always one of those weird kids when you were little that had experiences that, they're like, shh. Don't talk about that. People are going to think you're crazy. I'm not a nutter most of the time.
So you're not one of these people who, are dressed like what's that movie that everyone refers to when they say that they're a witch? The Craft.
I have never watched, what is it called?
The Craft.
The Craft?
Yes.
Yeah, I never watched that. I've never seen Hocus Pocus, and all my friends are like, what? And I'm like, no, I've never seen that. I think the only one was Practical Magic. That was more my speed. That made sense to me, but I never watched any of those. I never watched Harry Potter. And I won't now, because now I'm convicted that when I do stuff and I'm like, oh, you've seen that on here. No, I didn't see it on Harry Potter. So,
people get so wrapped up people get so wrapped up in the TV. I'm sorry, my cat, I forgot to lock him out. People get so wrapped up in the TV.
Be prepared. Right, and I've not seen any of those, so I can't speak to those.
When people think about witchcraft, they automatically assume that someone is in Wicca, but that's not the case, is it?
No, ma'am. I do a lot of Wiccan practices, but I'm not Wiccan. Now, I respect all religions. I respect. Everybody has to have a belief in something, but I don't want to be. I'm definitely not Wiccan, but I respect them, and I use some of their rules in my practices. But I don't want to be confined to a certain
right
standard.
So how many different witches are there out there?
Oh, the types? I think that there's
Yes.
new ones invented every day, and it's scary. I'm not kidding you. When I said, someone said that there is unicorn witches and like carrier witches. And then there's the chaos witches. There's the green witches, the hedge witches. Like, there's so many of them now. Back in my day, you were either a white witch or you practiced dark magic. There was no...
Jade, are you still there? You kind of faded out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get... How about now?
Yep, that's better. You kind of faded out. Can you repeat that last part of what you said?
Back in my day, there was... I don't know if you heard about all the new ones that are coming out. Back in my day, you were either a white witch or you were a darker witch that practiced darker magic. There wasn't no... there's new ones that come up every day, and it's surprising. And I have to learn it all over again. I feel like you fall between two categories. You're either a white witch or a star seed, or you don't mind playing with the boundaries of darker magic and I use it for good. I don't like hanging out there cursing everybody and trying to cause harm. I just use my own moral compass as my hard line.
So, in other words, the white witch is those who do good, and then supposedly the black witch is somebody who does evil. Is that how they...
Not evil.
Decipher?
Some people, the people that are uneducated, think it's evil, but I practice sorcery. I practice dark magic. It's called the left-handed path. But I don't go out and kill animals or babies or anything like that. I just use I'm an elemental witch. I use a lot of the elements. I definitely do a lot of candle magic and stuff. I'm sorry, you're going to hear my dog Kane. He sees something outside and he might bark like a big dog. But no, I just I have my own hard lines of my moral code. And white witches only do love and light, and that they are stuck in that love and light bubble. If they see something bad or use even black salt, some of them, which is a very great protection barrier, they think that's dark magic, and it's made out of coal and ashes, and all sorts of other things, depend on what you how you make it. But there's not a specific recipe. But they, the love and lighters, which I love them because they have a purpose, but some of them just won't cross that line, and I respect that. I just know my boundaries. Like I said, I do blood sorcery. I don't cut somebody's wrist. It's a prick of the finger. Your essence is your magic. Your blood is your lifeblood. It's what moves us. So when I say blood sorcery, it's not that I'm going around slitting my wrist, or like, it's just putting your essence in your spellcraft.
So it's not like you're a vampire or something like that.
No, I don't want to eat it or anything like that. But there's blood binds that you do with someone, which is a very beautiful and magical ritual that you do with someone. I wouldn't suggest it unless you know that that's your person for like ever. But there's beauty in the darker sides of it as well, as long as you know your hard lines and know your, just know what you do it for good, but you don't.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you use witchcraft in healings to do like healing magic?
I do.
So I think people... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
People seem to like when they come into witchcraft, they go straight to Wicca, and then they start they, you know, they'll read like current stuff about it, but they don't realize, you know, they'll think that that has roots in like Celtic religion or in Viking religion, you know, stuff from like ancient times. And that's not really true
It
with
goes all the way
Wicca.
back
Wicca's
to the,
only been around since the 30s, you know,
that's right.
with Garner. And what he did was he took a amalgamate of different religions and threw them together, really, to create what he was practicing.
Yeah, and history says that what he done worked on a lot of stuff back then, and people evolve, and then they add their 2 cents into it, and then they add their,
right,
they twist it and turn it, and it evolves just like anything else.
right.
But if you go back to the pagan days, I mean, think about the Vikings, and they gave blood sacrifices. Now I'm not,
They did.
when I'm not, but even back in ancient times, or back in the Incas and stuff, they did things like that. I don't sacrifice things, but I honor things. Like if I like, I'm working on a project for my godson, and he's Catholic, by the way, and I'm his godmother, because I respect my brother and how they were raised. But I'm working on a project for him for his wedding that's coming up. So I don't know, but what I'm saying is I guess if you, I'm sorry, my dog just jumped off. I guess if you just know your boundaries and know that who you are as at the core of who you are, and you're like the essence of yourself, and if you put that into your magic, when I say I'm going to light a candle for you, it's just like a prayer. And I actually do
right.
it. I have a thing of every color candle. I have cases of every color candle, and I do that. You can see my ceiling and know that you have to clean the ceilings a lot when you do that.
So what are some
Sorry,
of the
I got off topic.
Oh, that's okay. So what are some of the like the historical traditions that you've pulled to how to ask this? Like what are some of the traditions that you use in your practice today? Like do they primarily, like I know a shamanic healer, for instance, and she pulls on a lot of like Viking things. I know somebody else that
Yeah, I
practiced
do a lot of
voodoo.
see, that's the good thing about being like a hedge witch or a dark witch, is you can take pieces of voodoo, you can take pieces of hoodoo, you can take pieces of sorcery, you can take pieces of white magic and dark magic, you can craft your own. And that's basically what hedge witch or dark witch is we crafted our own, and we're not stuck in a box. It's just individualized. But I'm sorry, what was your question?
Hey Jade, you faded out again.
So, my back.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. The question was.
We had wicked storms.
That's okay. What are some of the traditional things that you use in your modern day practice?
I do a lot of moon magic. I do like when I do ritual, I do the drawing down the moon ceremony, and I do like, I give great rites to people that I help more. You know, we like to put our stuff on, but you don't have to. But I use a lot of elemental magic, like the tides, and some of the things that sorry, my things are going crazy here. Some of the things that I use traditionally, like I follow the steps. Like I make the circle, I give an offering, and usually that is my essence. When it comes to doing ritual, it depends on if you have somebody with you or if you're solitary practicing by yourself. I make sure that my perimeter is always in check and safe by using crystal magic, by using, blessed salt. And like I said, I use a lot of earth magic and moon magic. So.
When you talk about using tide magic, that's like magnetic from the moon, right? I think people don't realize
Yes.
how powerful that can be, across all life, because even the human body is made up of so much water.
Right. And think about that. Think about if the moon can move the tides on Earth and we're made up of that much water, imagine what it does to your body and your flow. Sorry, my dog's here. Imagine what it does. It does pull on you. It's up to you to decide if it's going to be crazy and hectic. Everybody's like, it's the full moon, everybody's going to go nuts. No, you go with the flow. You get into it and you feel things and you bring things in. There's a lot of spellcraft to do during those cycles, especially like the Wheel of the Year, like we were talking about it being Litha, which is the summer solstice. The Farmer's Almanac. Think about that. The Farmer's Almanac. The farmers, they wean their calves by it, and it's by the moon. It's by how the cycles of the moon, what they do when they plant, when they harvest. It's all in those things that we celebrate.
And listeners out there don't realize that book that you just mentioned, The Farmer's Almanac, it is right on. I don't know where to get the information for that thing, but I bought a copy of it because when I lived in Nashville, I used to have an urban garden and I had chickens and the whole deal. I mean, I was really trying to make like a self-sustainable urban garden, and it worked. But I used to buy that and I would do all my planting around what it said, and it actually was correct. It's amazing.
Yeah, I digress. I think that the Witch's Bible is the Farmer's Almanac. In my belief, not everybody. I have my own, but if you look at the Farmer's Almanac and you look at our the Wheel of the Year and the things that we celebrate. We celebrate the first harvest. We celebrate the second harvest. The ending of the harvest, where we move into, the Samhain and Yule. And with the winter time comes, it's just like that's the same thing that we do, and it's all in Farmer's Almanac. They just use different words for it.
They sure do, and we
celebrate those things.
It's funny because someone once told me that by practicing any kind of witchcraft and following the witch's will, that it was just an excuse to have so many holidays. It's like, no, there's 8.
8. There's 8.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
8.
Right.
We get off on Martin Luther King days, or everything closes on for somebody these days. We have 8. That's it. Now, of course, we have little things in between, but these are the only ones we celebrate.
I think summer and winter solstices are some of the larger ones, right?
Well, the biggest one in our community is Samhain.
Samhain.
The biggest one in our community is Samhain, which is that's probably our biggest one, because that's when we get put all of our stuff out there. Because back in my day, we had to keep it very quiet. It was a sacred society, and since the internet came along, everybody's starting to find out more, and it's not so taboo. I had to talk to my kids when I finally went public. I set my kids down, and I was so nervous to tell my kids, because they know mom went out and done things on. They know mom had pretty rock when they were little. Sorry, my dog just right off. Hey, we'll see my people. I said me and my daughter shared. This is him. Anyway, I'm sorry. What was we talking about before he?
We were talking about Samhain.
I was so yeah. So that was the holiday that I chose that I could just be me, because I tried to keep, like, my ex-husband and I agreed when we raised our kids. He was quick and raised quicker, that we would give them option to choose what they wanted to believe in church. But I, because I wanted them to have free will. But for so that's when I got to just be me. But whenever they were old, I finally just told them, I said, I got to tell you something. I was so nervous about telling them. I have a daughter and a son. When I told them, they're like, Mom, we've known this our whole life. It's not us. So, but yeah, is
So, it's kind of hard though to find, like I know some people are very reluctant to come out who are practitioners though still today. There's a lot of people that I know that just won't even,
it's scary.
Like I know, I know a practitioner in Nashville who, she's very, she was a judge, she's a lawyer, she had a very high position in the government, but she's a practicing Wiccan, and she owns a farm out in Nashville. I'm not going to say her name, but she practices it, but she would never come out and say something to somebody unless they specifically ask.
Yeah, it's scary. You get judged. People are afraid they don't understand. That's why this conversation needs to be had a lot more now, because it's not anymore. And if people would stop being so afraid of what they don't understand.
And I think we just lost Jade. She disappeared, but I'm sure she'll be back. But yeah, that conversation about people not sharing their beliefs when they practice witches or when they practice any kind of witchcraft or anything, I've come across that a lot. You see that a lot with voodoo in New Orleans. You'll see people who, like I've met some, you're not going to find true voodoo practitioners on the streets of, on Bourbon Street or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. They keep it on the down low. The stuff that you see on Bourbon Street or any of those popular touristy places, those are just for tourists, But hopefully Jade will come back. Let's see. So the other things, I don't really know too much about witchcraft that I can talk about. I do practice. I don't know if a lot of my listeners know that or not. I do practice. I don't consider myself a Wiccan by any means. I've practiced for probably 15 years. And I picked it up from a lady in Nashville that she owned a shop there. And she was actually, if you read my book, Dancing with Demons, in the book, she really taught me how to come out in mediumship and things like that. She kind of taken me under her wing. So that's when I started. And this was 10, 15 years ago. So Jade, are you back? You back, Jade?
I'm so sorry. We've had horrible storms here all day, and my dog keeps jumping up and down. Say hi to Kane. This is Kane.
Hi, Kane.
He might try to be laughing a little bit. I'm so sorry about that. I tried to go back in, and the link was gone. And I'm like, anyway, what I was saying, I don't know, but having conversations like this and bring it out into the open where it's not as taboo anymore, and having people that don't understand it evil do bad things. Obviously, I wear flower hair everywhere I go. I'm a gypsy witch. We're all black. I love black hooded ladies because I'm a dark witch, but you don't have to be goth to be a witch. And I think that once people they start to understand that we're not evil, I think that they won't be so afraid to come out. I was really judged. Like you said, your friend the judge, that she kept it quiet. It's because more people need to be having conversations to understand that what we do isn't evil. I have Christian witches that are Christian, and they practice witchcraft.
And she disappeared again. I'm so sorry, you guys, your listeners out there. She's absolutely right, though. There is this thing where we automatically think that a witch is evil in some way. I actually have a friend who's always teasing me about that, and he says, "Oh, that's what you get for calling up those demons again." He's just joking, of course, but that's the general concept that you get with any kind of Wicca or any kind of like mediumship and stuff. Actually, you kind of get that idea, when in actuality it's got nothing to do with Satan or demons or any of that kind of stuff. Really, you're just like you're going with nature. You're glorifying not glorifying, but you're appreciating nature, and you live based on cycles.
Okay, let's try this again. I'm sorry.
Jade.
The point is, I land the plane on this. The point is the more people have a conversation and understand what we all do, I think that it won't be as scary for some people.
So, what are some of the things that you do for summer solstice?
I always find what is the stuff that's now, like the gardening, whatever is in season and is harvested now. Like I always have usually a dinner planned that I all the vegetables that are being harvested now. Like I just had sweet corn on the grill, and melons and all this stuff that are starting to. That's one of the things that I do. I do a cleansing and a blessing of my area. I do, because it fell right on a full moon. Well, the day after was the full moon, so I incorporated my full moon. Did I lose you? I incorporated my full moon rule with my summer solstice ritual. It's just it's the turnover and the growth of something new. So, like some of my things, it's when things are flourishing. It's just part of the seasons where we live with the season. So, is that what you're trying to ask me?
Yes. Like, what are some of the rituals that you do for summer solstice?
A lot of times I do, like I said, I just give thanks to the harvest that has come, and I pay homage to the things that are in season. I decorate with the colors of the summer solstice. There's people have fire rituals. People practice it different everywhere. Mm-hmm. So, like the way I do it is not law. It's just the natural that comes now. As the turn of the seasons, if you think about like the year, the cycle of the year, and the cycle of a woman, and you turn from the maiden to the mother and the crone. So this will be the mother aspect of the year. So it's more nurturing. So I try to embody that part, the mother aspect of the wheel of the year. And like during the wintertime, that's when I would go back and I would reflect on the wisdom where the crone phase of the year is during the wintertime. Spring obviously is the maiden. So those are the things that I incorporate in. It could be something as simple as redecorating your altar, or
cleaning your house, like cleaning everything out, cleaning out the old.
Yeah, and then also, you know, you clean up things bad that's happened to you in the year, and you use new goals. So those, you know, I don't know. I think it just comes so natural to me because I've been doing it for so long that I don't know if there's a recipe. People do it so different, but those are the things I always think of, like the maiden, the mother, the crone, and those phases is kind of what my biological body clock lived by every year. And as it, you know, I change the colors on things, but I really just do the same thing every day. This is my life all the time, every single day. It's not just on the holidays, it's every single day.
Mm-hmm. Do you like charge crystals and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I have crystals everywhere.
One of the listeners asked, you know, what is the significance to charging crystals by a full moon?
Well, let's say, like that fear of full moon, what it does is to incorporate crystals. Have an energetic makeup on. They have an energetic property. So when you put them out in the full moon, it absorbs that energy, that full moon energy, and it also, you know, you get into you as well. So I always charge my crystals. Let me just always full moon, but I typically try to. I would spend the outside with all my shiny rocks everywhere. So I just have specific ones that I use a lot, that I make sure that I put out. I just don't put them all out.
So what are do you know of the history of how Stonehenge became such a significant part of summer solstice?
I know. I've heard several different stories. So I guess it just depends on who you get your information from, and it also depends on if you're Celtic or if you're Viking, if you're Norse or Celtic. It depends. Everybody take on what it is. So I know the full. I think I know what, like, they were all, because you think about the pyramids. They knew what they were doing back then. They knew all the constellations. I'm not an astrologer, I just want to tell you that. I'm a lot of things, but astrologer I'm not. I have friends for that. But I think that they were, because they had to live.
And she disappeared again. So you guys, the question was about Stonehenge, because every year there's a huge festival around summer solstice, and I think it also for Samhain, there's a huge they have a huge ritual around Stonehenge every year based on that. Jade, you there?
I am. I'm supposed to be happening. Anyway, so back to your question. I know what I think I believe. I don't know the true story, because, like I said, it just depends on what you're brought and taught up and who you listen to. It plays a big, significant role. In how they live.
Jay, do you work with entities? When you do your magic, do you call on specific entities?
Do the biggest one I've always I'm a daughter of Hekate. She's been something that I've felt close to since I was a little girl, and I didn't realize until later that I have a story like that. Little girl, I kept having these dreams, and I was this beautiful woman that had this. It was a recurring dream, and I'll make it short. But the point of the dream was I thought this woman was teasing my ear. Now you have to remember I'm 5, so I have a 5-year-old brain, and I would tell my mom or my grandmother at that age, mother, I'm like, that's just sneezing in my.
Oh, she's gone again, you guys. I'm so sorry. So we're going to see if she comes back on, but the question was if she worked with any entities. I myself, I work with several entities. So I work with the angel Michael. Even though he is a Christian deity, I still work with him. She works with, I think she said Hekate. I couldn't really understand what she
I'm sorry.
was saying because she kept fading in and out.
I'm so sorry.
I know
So
some witches that work with fairies. Some of the entities want to drop them in the comments. Jade, are you there?
I am. Sorry about that. So I was telling you, Hekate, I thought she was sneezing. I thought this beautiful woman was sneezing in my ear. And like I said, I got a 5-year-old brain, so like I was trying to explain it to my grandmother, and found out later on in years that she was telling me her name, but to a 5-year-old, it sounds like someone sneezing when you say Hekate. And there's different ways to pronounce it, because that's how I heard it as a little girl. And my aunt took me into this cave, and she was sneezing in my ear. That's how I got introduced to her when I was really young. It was something I felt safe with. It wasn't scary. So I have a lot of stuff around here. I have her sigil on my tattoo, which is something that she's with me and comforted me. So that's the one I use. I'm not afraid to go to the other pantheons and whatever I want to. I'm not afraid to eat when I need
it. Are there any other entities that you work with? Because I know there's some people that work with fairies. I work with Archangel Michael, even though he's a Christian deity.
One of the book of demons, but I don't believe that demons are bad, because the one I work with because of health issues is my boss, and he's a good technology. He is an entity I work with a lot because he helps heal, and he in my history helped me heal a lot of things, and he's the one. His sigil's on my altar as well. So, like I said, in the book of demonologies, but my boss is one that always asks for healing help or me to send healing to them. I always bring in Marbas.
Do you work with like certain plant energies or anything?
Plant energies?
Yeah, like
not energies. I love natural herbs and things. I make tinctures and teas. I'm not a pro, but my best friend is a green witch, and so I just sat out going, "This is what happened. What do I need to do?"
And she's gone again. I myself do work with a lot of, I guess I would be more of a green witch because I work a lot with herbs and I make my own soap. everything's from scratch that I make at home. I just don't go out and buy, like, when I go grocery shopping, I don't purchase anything in the aisles. If it comes in a box, I generally don't buy it. So it's usually a lot of fresh fruits, a lot of, if I eat meat, it's organic meat. Everything's made from scratch, even the dog food that I serve my dogs and what I serve my cat, it's all made from scratch. It's just something I've done for a very, very long time. So for me, I do work with a lot of plant energies. Like, I know it sounds crazy. I work with like oak trees. I work with ferns, just all kinds of different things. I don't know if Jade's gonna. There she is. We'll let her. Jade, are you there? You back with us? Are you there?
I'm back.
Can you
I'm
hear me?
so sorry. I can.
I was just telling them. I was telling the listeners
All
that
the
I guess
crazy energies.
I practice a lot of green witchery because I make all of my own stuff. Like soap, dog food, everything I make is from scratch.
My best friend does everything. She does natural, completely everything from antibiotics to things like that. And she's my go-to person whenever. I wish that I had the knowledge that I could. I don't have all that knowledge, but I have really great friends that have like those different mediums that they go to. Like some people are amazing astrologers. Some people are great with plant magic or green witchery. And like I just don't have enough headspace for all of that knowledge. Like I know the basics, but I also know that I don't need to know everything.
And I think that's part of the beauty of it, is that you use what works for you.
So. Yeah. And you're not stuck in a certain thing. And I don't think that all teachers are made for everyone. Like
exactly. What advice?
Individualized.
What advice would you give to someone who is new to witchery and who wants to celebrate the summer solstice, or who wants to even become a witch, or wants to learn more about it?
I think it is an amazing journey to start on. It's amazing. I think that they'll always. I think they always have a little bit in them. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because it said network loss.
I thought you were going to be dropped too.
Yeah, elementals, just stick with the basics. You don't have to get all the spells and all the just listen to your body, and you need to learn it's the elements: earth, air, fire, water. The things that move us, the things that make us live and breathe. Learn that first, and then feel out your boundaries and what you're comfortable with. And before you start to get straight into, I want to do spells. Like there's layers to it. You need to understand it to be a good practicing witch that just doesn't do it for. You really need the base of the elementals, and then switch to like magic. Like green witchery has a lot of earth magic in it. 4 elements is the foundation for everything to me. Like you can't just go, okay, I want to be a witch, now teach me how to do this big spell. Like it just doesn't work that way. It's a misconception, and if you think that that's what a real witch is, then you need to not watch too much TV.
You said that you do the drawing down the moon ritual.
Yes.
There's a book, and I forget who the author who wrote that book. Mary, I forget her name. Mary something. But it's a good book to read
Sure.
too. I can't remember who wrote that book. It's called Drawing Down the Moon though, and the author, she passed away, but she was part of the Gerald Gardner's group.
That is that's a Wiccan practice, and that is a beautiful.
Well, Jade disappeared. I forget who wrote Drawing Down the Moon. It's a really good book. It's an old book. And the origins of that book come from the Wiccan religion. She worked pretty close with Gerald Gardner back in I think I want to say the 30s. So it's pretty old. I don't know, James, you read that book.
I mean, I haven't read that book at all. I actually got taught that by another high priestess. In order to become a priestess and a high priestess, you have to know that ritual, and you have to perform that ritual.
Gotcha.
It is a full earth-shaking, body bumpy ritual that I've ever done and ever felt. It's it's the most beautiful come together ritual that I do and practice. I do it very secret. I don't know people to record it when I do it. I don't mind if they record some of the things, but when I do the drawing down of the moon, it is something so sacred between the person that we're doing it with or the individual, especially if you're giving them their great rites. That is something so very personal that I don't think that it's a spectator thing, unless you're, because you want to feel it, you want to be in with it. I'm not just doing it for tricks, I guess.
But Jade, is there anything else that you want to share? Like, where can people find you, and do you have any upcoming events going on? Oh, it's Margaret Adler. That's the name of the author. Thank you, Patricia.
I apologize so much about the spotty things. That's there's crazy energy around here anyways, but we've had a really bad thunderstorms. There's electric power down everywhere. You can find me on Facebook. I don't know how to use the Twitter X thing. I'm gonna try to learn. I just learning how to make a TikTok, but I've never done it in person. I just do pictures. I have an Instagram, but I don't really know how to use it either. Facebook is probably one of the biggest things where you can find me. I run the Academy of Practical Magic and Pagan Roots and Witchy Connections with my partners. We have those groups and the Rising from the Ashes groups. So if anybody's interested in wanting to learn real witchcraft from real witches, I actually have some receipts on that, then those are the places to find me and learn.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for the connection issues, but thanks so much for having me, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you have brought this to the forefront. It needs to be talked about so people ain't so afraid of it. So I want you for bringing a witch on your channel, and
it's very hard to come out and talk
about
all this stuff. It's hard to talk about all this stuff because I know for me, I've been in a closet for years with mediumship and just everything spiritual. I just kept it in a closet for the longest time. So
yeah, people thought you were a nutter if you said you talk to ghosts. Well, they would think that you're crazy, and that's not. Now, some of them do, but that's because they fear what they don't understand.
Yeah.
I've been a clairvoyant my whole entire life as well, and everybody has that power within them. We've just fostered a whole lot more. That's it. Every single one of us has the same gifts. Some of us just don't shut it down, and some of us foster it. And I think that it should be a topic that you shouldn't be afraid to now to have an open dialogue about it. It's not evil. It's dangerous not to, I think, my book.
For me, it was very hard too, because I lived in the Bible Belt, you know, with all of this. I lived in Nashville for a very long time. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. They just don't understand. I grew up, the nuns literally was in my backyard. It's all staunch Catholic where I grew up at. And so when the satanic panic hit, you know, it's crazy. But also, but now it's so much different that it's okay to understand it. And you can still believe in one thing and another at the same time. There's two things to be true at the same time. You just
Well, I'll tell you what,
that.
Jade, if you're open to it, I would love to have you back to do another episode in the near future.
Sure.
If you're
hopefully
open
we'll
to
have
that.
better reception, and I apologize. I would love that. Yeah. And hopefully we'll have better reception, and maybe my nerves will be calmed down a little bit, because I was pretty nervous about this. It's been a minute since I well, I used to host the Witches Hour. I was a co-host to it, and so I haven't done it for several years, so I was nervous.
Well, Jade, thank you so much for coming on, and I will definitely have you back on.
Thank you so much.
So on October 5th, I will be at the Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon, located at the old haunted YMCA building, to talk about my book, Dancing with Demons, and my personal paranormal life story. I will be around all weekend, so you should come out and come see me. The lineup of speakers include Paranormal's Josh Purvis and Michelle LeBaron, and I think there's like 120 vendors at this thing now. It's up in Illinois. It's in Indiana, I think, or Illinois. If you look on my website at cltom.org, the address is there. You can buy tickets that are pretty decent, not expensive. It's the Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon. You've been listening to The Gateway, your portal to the unexplained and mystical and otherworldly, broadcast live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans. And you guys, I'm so sorry about the in and out and the internet problems and stuff like that. Until next time.